Be happy, happy.
Be happy.
Be happy, be happy, mommy.
Come on, keep your chin up. Enjoy this time.
Smile,
Smile, smile, my darling.
Honey, you gotta count your blessings.
Blessings.
Welcome back, mamas. Today we have a truly remarkable guest, Laurie Kanyok, the founder and director of Kanyok Arts Initiative based in New York City. In this episode, Laurie highlights the values of integrity, kindness, and creativity, principles that she lives by and that resonate within her unique dance program. Recognized as an impeccable leader in the industry, Laurie is not just a mentor and a teacher, she's a force of inspiration to those around her. With her extensive experience as a casting consultant on an upcoming Amazon Prime series and her collaboration on the Tony Award-winning An American in Paris, Laurie has for sure made her mark on the dance world. As a performer, Laurie has dazzled audiences in productions like Twyla Tharp's Movin' Out and Come Fly Away. She has graced the stages of Broadway and national tours, and this year, she made a triumphant return to the stage with Ballet Collective in The Night Falls. Driven by her love for her daughter and a desire to nurture her students' success, Laurie takes us through the complexities of motherhood and teaching, the balance of family and artistry, and the importance of open dialogue with our kids. On a personal note, Laurie has inspired me since the 1990s when I first arrived in New York City. Laurie's presence stood out to me, not just because she is one of the best dancers and teachers I've ever encountered, but as a beacon of integrity, strength, and artistic vision. Her unwavering commitment to elevating the room and those around her has been a steady source of inspiration for me, and I have no doubt it will resonate with you too. So join us as we dive in with Laurie Kanyok. You go to preteen and it's like having babies again, right? In a way, it's like that.
I can't tell you, or I can if you'd like to hear, the topics where I go, I thought I had this under control and I thought I knew what I was going to say and I thought I knew that I had sort of pre-planned this moment. No, there was no pre-planning for the stuff that I've had since September. I'm like, OMG, to the point where I've written emails to administrators and parents saying, can we kind of direct the conversation at school or at lunch or at this or that towards something a little more appropriate? I'm speechless, and it's wild. And you factor in internet and device and this, and it's in school. So I can't say you can't take your computer to school. I can't control what other kids look at on their computer at school. So you just pray. You just pray.
It's so interesting. I feel the same. I have these conversations with my 12-year-old that I never expected to have so early in her little life. But it is because of that. And it is because of what she is exposed to every single day. And so I just have to look at it and think, well, I would rather she hear it from me, and I'd rather we have these adult conversations now than her hearing it through the grapevine. And so we talk about all of these really difficult conversations and real stuff that I didn't have to deal with until I was, 18, 19, 20, right?
True.
But because of what they're exposed to and what they're hearing and what they're seeing, I just, I was like, well, now's the time. And she too, like yours, she's still a little kid. And I like to try and preserve that as much as I can. It's hard, maybe taking her to an amusement park or something like that, where she can just laugh and be a kid. It warms my heart, but she's growing up very quickly. She's very smart and it's great. Like she's a great kid, but yeah, part of me is kind of like, but it is, like you said, it's the reality of life nowadays. And obviously living in the city, we live in the city. It's well, even for parents, whose kids don't live in the city. I mean, they're exposed to everything now, everything. So yeah.
It's so true. And yeah, it's a fun navigation though, I will say. And I have this training program with teenagers. So my joke is that I'm going to write a book about teenagers real soon, maybe at the 10-year mark, because every single year of Kai or Kai, however it's pronounced, I should know, has presented a different set of teenage things. So like when this year's things came up, I was literally like, yeah, I've been here before. So everybody chill, calm, cool the jets. Yeah,
Right.
it's scandalous. Yeah, I know. We'll handle this. It's all good. Let's keep dancing.
You find that being a mother has made you a better leader, a better teacher?
My first thought when you said that, and I'm trying to suss through it, is that I was a teacher before I was a mother. And that's why because I always knew I wanted to have a child. There was no doubt. I loved being on stage and I loved performing and I loved being, 25 hours a day in a rehearsal hall or whatever, a theater. But I always saw not the end, because there is no end, but I saw a different way for myself. So I don't know if it's made me probably it's made me a more understanding teacher, but I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg,
Yeah, sometimes I think that too. I think for me, what made me a better mother is having had to lead so many artists and learn how to navigate all of these emotions and be strong while also being soft. And that was a really big learning curve for me when I when I made the transition from being a performer to being on the other side, right? And I'll never forget, when I was working in Las Vegas at the show that I worked at, I was the resident choreographer there and I was managing 80 artists. And it was such a hard transition because I had to learn how to be a leader and I have such a big heart. And so I always think about that when I'm parenting. I'm like, oh, I kind of learned some of this through having all of my quote babies prior to having an actual baby. So yeah, so I can see how it can go both ways.
Yeah, it was definitely. And then, when I finally got pregnant, it was natural. It was sort of easy. Thankfully, I'm grateful for that.
So your pregnancy and your birth flowed and it was easy and there wasn't a lot of complication or anything like that.
I was thinking about this last night, and
Yes.
there is a bit of drama around my birth situation, how it was handled.
Yeah.
At that part.
Yeah.
I'm happy to talk about it because at the end of the day, it was shocking when it happened. I was fired for being pregnant and immediately after a show. And it was shocking because it was just shocking. I wasn't that far along. I had a real easy sort of plan to end at a certain date, and I was dance captaining or taking care of the show as well. So I was like, oh, this is going to be fine. I had the little structure of how that goes when you're the managerial side of it, and I can get people ready to take my role, and then I'll exit gracefully, peacefully, and that just didn't happen. And I felt really bad for myself in the moment because somebody else that I'd known had done it a different way when they got pregnant. And so I chose a different road in hopes that it would have a different outcome, and it didn't. So I was a little disappointed in that, extremely disappointed. And I think if that were to happen today in this day and age, it wouldn't have been the same outcome because it wouldn't have been even permitted to even brush under the rug kind of thing. I very quickly had a producer call me and say, please don't do anything. We will help you. It was like that.
Wow.
At that point, you're in your first trimester. I was sick as a dog. I didn't have an easy pregnancy, but I wasn't throwing up. I was just incredibly nauseous the entire first trimester. And so you just manage that. You figure out how to do it. You do a little ginger ale. You do the things. You find the things that make you feel better. And you just go along with your day. Because as women, I think that we're pretty strong animals,
Unbelievable. And as dancers, I mean, not to take away from anyone else's experience, but I'm curious, if you're sitting at a desk from 9 to 5 in your first trimester, nauseous every single day, is that different? I'm going to say it is than having to literally dance your ass off and not bow out for a million reasons. So we all did it, right? I mean, your situation too, Laurie, this is crazy to me because you say like if it happened now, things would be handled differently. Most likely, this was only 12 years ago. It really wasn't that long ago that was allowed.
There are so many things 12 years ago, so many we learned a little something, something. And that's a good thing. So, but yeah, so that was really sad for me going back to that moment. And then I had to sort of like, so, the selfish sort of ego side of it for me was I didn't get my final bow. And after decades of performing, and especially more than a full decade of working with that particular director choreographer person, I was a little like unsettled. It was not the way I would have chosen to do it. But then I look at it and I'm like, it wasn't the last time I was on stage. So whoop-de-doo. In the moment I was sad, I had a little pity party. Then I gave birth to this amazing little thing. And then, I was preoccupied. And that's it. And when I look back on that moment, I go, was it all that necessary to not have a final bow? It's kind of selfish. So forget it. Let it go.
Then that wasn't your last time on the stage.
No. And in fact, I came out of retirement last year.
Oh,
I have a great story about that. I did this thing with Troy Schumacher and Ballet Collective, which I was so grateful. And I played a woman, a mom, who lost her child to addiction. Not that I can totally relate, but I'm a mom. And also I had a lot of trauma that I was dealing with at the time. So it was it was a gift. It was a gift that I was asked. It was a gift that I was accepted. And it truly saved my life. And I've told Troy this numerous times. But anyways, we're doing the last show. It was like 4 performances. And there was the choreography for my solo was appropriate for someone of my age. Now, the ensemble work that I had to do was a whole nother story, because when he said coupe jeté and sisson, I was like, you must be crazy. And he goes, come on, just try it once. So we did it once. And he was like, yeah, you guys can do that. And I was like, repeatedly? Once, yeah, but on repeat is a whole different story. Anyway, so the end of my solo, the last show, I did this dramatic run on the diagonal from upstage left to downstage right. And it was like this beautiful opera singer singing above me, haunting music and storyline and the mourning of your child, and you're going crazy as a mother. You don't know how to deal with the loss. And she was to like abruptly, I can't do it, but lift my right leg in a parallel attitude and sort of screech to a halt. Then there was drama after that. And I said to all the kids in the cast, the younger ones, I was like, I'm going to jump. I'm going to do a big soda shot. They were like, I dare you. And I was like, oh, I'm doing it. Because I was a little bit like that as a dancer. I listened, but not all the time. And
I'm going to interject and just say you were the fucking best at that. It's inspired all of us. I mean, I've been in that room with you. Unbelievable. Anyway, go on. That's what makes you so incredible. One of the reasons.
God bless you, Shelly. Thank you. Thank you. But so I was in the moment, and I was, and I rarely think when I'm performing. I just feel like I hope I do enough preparation that I don't have to think on stage. But in that moment, in my brain, it went, this little thing on my shoulder went, you're supposed to jump. And I was like, oh, shat, is my daughter. Oh, shat. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And I just went for it. Lo and behold. And then Troy comes backstage after the show and he looks at me and I was like, I'm sorry, but you can't fire me because it was the last one. And he started laughing. Lo and behold, one of the 3 or so photographers that was capturing images of the performances caught the soda shot in air.
Wow.
I should give you guys that picture. Now, it's not the most astounding soda shot, for a 51-year-old, and back then. But it was caught, it was captured. He sends me this email and he goes, she caught it.
It's living proof. You did it. Oh, that's fantastic. I love it.
Maybe that was like my final bow. I did that for me. I got off stage and my daughter was there. She's like, Mom, I'm so glad you're coming home now.
And the love that you share with your first love, dance, right? And that part of you that you share with now your greatest love, your daughter.
Yeah.
What's that like?
It's hard. That part is hard because I didn't try it. It was osmosis. And I would be interested. I mean, do your kids, like, how are they? You guys are both so entrenched in the arts. And, I didn't try this. I feel like a lot of people say to me, did you push her? And I didn't. But she literally grew up in it. So there's nothing. I tried music. She does sing. Thank God she sings like an angel. But I don't know how, I didn't know how I can't keep her away from it. You know what I mean? Like I can't say no to her. So I just got to ride it until she tells me I'm done, which she may or may not ever do. She did tell me she was going to move to Mars. So,
Well, aren't we all? We'll go with her. Thank you.
I with my daughters, when they were babies, I really, really, really did not want them to go into dance. I remember saying to my mother, who loves dance, my mother was never a dancer, but she loves dance more than anything in the world. I said to her, I know too much, and I would rather learn something new through my child, like you did, Mom, and really just discover as they grow. But that didn't happen. My second child, Willow, she does not want to dance. She's like, no, don't want to do that. So she does her gymnastics, and she is an online video content creator. But Summer always wanted to. And, by proxy of they grew up in the studio a lot of the time and watching, and, she just had it in her, and she has it in her. But it's a really tricky balance for me, but because she gets very nervous, even though I only shower her with praise all of the time. That's great. That's wonderful. Oh my gosh, look at you. I don't want her, but she is extremely nervous around me. She does not want me to watch her classes. She gets nervous when I come to the show. Even though she really wants this. And so it's really, really hard for me because, as a mother, you want to guide your child. I never want to be a quote stage mom, but I do know things, and I can't help, but she doesn't want my help. She doesn't want that, So it's tricky. I feel you on that.
she's 12.
She's 12.
Yeah. And now Alex is in my program. Mine is in my program. And I don't teach her unless I absolutely have to, and I don't coach her. I still don't know how to navigate that. But I will say there are glimmers of hope, because eventually she knows as she ages, if she continues, she's going to have me. So I think she's working through that process on her own, and I respect that. And I too try not to. The only thing that makes me chuckle is I'm a little different than you in the sense that I have Tourette's in the house. So it's like if she's like PKing across the living room floor and her shoulders are by her ears, I'll be like, shoulders down. And help myself. It's like, because in my head, I'm going, well, I preach to my students all the time that if you practice with a bad habit, that bad habit's going to stick. So like now here you are at home and you're practicing with this bad habit. I can't help it. It's horrible.
That's hard to navigate. That is hard because she probably hears what you say. You're trying to also stay consistent and say well, for her, it doesn't matter, right? It matter. I mean, you're showing also consistency. That's really tough. I can see why you're in the mix of really trying to figure out what this is going to look like in the next 5-6 years.
An old dance partner of mine, he was laughing. I was talking about the hip thing, hip gate number 2.0. And Alex, my daughter, was doing like, I was telling him she was obsessed with doing these, when you're in a second split stretch and then you rotate your hips to like get on top of that. I don't know if there's a word for it. And this was her new thing for the year. And I'm like watching it in pain. And like, I'm telling him this story and he started cracking up. He's like, there needs to be a documentary made. I'm like, about what? And he goes, the woman with the dancer with the hip replacement whose daughter is sitting in second splits. And I was like, she's not even recognizing the fact that I'm in this position for many of those reasons and severe repetition and like craziness that I did. But like, I will say, you want to go into Shakespeare, you want to play piano, like, what do you want to do? You want to paint? Do you want to sew stuff? You want to knit? Cool.
Anything different, not anything but let's not make this your ride or die.
Honestly, that's why I started Kai for so many reasons. One was I had to figure out what the heck I was going to do in my life after, I didn't want to act. I have choreographed. It gives me a lot of pain, brings me a lot of pain, not enough joy because I get too heady about it. And it's too laborious for me. So I was like, what am I going to do? I went in to a little bit of artist management with, I know you had Lakey Wolf on, and for a very short amount of time, I trailed her and I worked with her. And then I realized, it's probably not for me. And that was okay. And then I cast this show with Chelsea's office and Chris Wheeldon's American Paris. And they hired me to consult. And I scouted ballet dancers around North America and I had a blast. I was in heaven. Like working with artists and being in the room and giving them their first, read and, trying to get a little sound out of them, arranging for their lessons, doing all the things, watching them grow and morph. It was unbelievable. But then in the process, I was like, wait, why am I scouting ballet dancers to work on Broadway? Why aren't the musical theater dancers or the more commercial dancers able to give Wheeldon what he wants? That was like a big problem for me because I had come from Moving Out and Come Fly Away where we were doing a ballet, and even the theater dancers, and I was one of them because I never danced with a ballet company, but we were so trained technically to do those ballets that it worked. But they hired me to go find ballet dancers to do this. And I was like, whoa. So I started. That's when it hit me. I was like, we need to train them. And we need to train them to dance well. And we need to train them to sing and act. And I tell my parents of incoming students all the time, and they say to me, oh, my kid really doesn't sing. And I was like, first of all, that's a fear that you're putting into your child. So please stop. Don't ever say that around your kid again. Not everybody's going to sing like Beyonce or Pavarotti, but everybody has a voice in there. Somehow, somewhere it's in there. And it's how it's developed and nurtured that will be it for your person. But that's how it started. And it afforded me the ability to be a single mom, fulfill my artistry, and work practically. And I have a little trifecta down here. I have my home, my studio, and my daughter's school, and it's a perfect little triangle. And that's how I was able to get away with not having a nanny raise my kid. I figured out a way to survive.
Creative Mamas Unplugged is produced by Breatheasy Productions with music by Jeremy Jurin. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to give my mama 5 stars and keep coming back. Thanks to us kids, there are plenty of stories to tell. And you are not alone. Bye for now.